Hello, a very good morning. Welcome along to IrelandAM on Virgin Media 1.
Lovely to have you with us. It's Wednesday, the 25th of September. Here's some of what's coming up on today's show.
Well, as tensions escalate in the Middle East, we're going to get a live update from Beirut in Lebanon about the Israeli strikes at 7:35.
Yeah, that's coming up this morning at 8:15. We're going to be speaking to architect Hugh Wallace on renovations and how his dyslexia diagnosis changed the course of his life.
Have it. And at 9:20, we're going to meet an innovative inventor whose new product design will help chemotherapy patients.
It's incredible.
Won the James Dyson Award.
Yeah, the national one she's going for. She's
amazing.
it's so good. It's amazing. Alan, good morning, darling.
Good morning, darling. Yes, lots of other things coming up on the show. Oh, we're looking forward to this,
I'm
me
so
and Tommy.
excited
Yeah.
for this.
Jack O'Keefe is going to show us how to make the perfect roast chicken. If you think you're making the perfect one, stay around because he's going to show us how to do it even better. We've got Grandpa Cora Lux on the catwalk. Don't know what that is. We're going to find out later on. And we'll be telling the story of the legend of Cuchulainn through the art of yoga.
Are you looking forward to that?
We'll be all zen by the end of the show.
Just after our roast chicken. Just
after our roast chicken, and then we get all
good.
zen. Yes, looking forward to it.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Alan. Lots to look forward to in the...
Now, coming up, we're going to be bringing you the day's top stories, including the latest in the housing crisis.
Yes, we're going to be getting into the details right after this short break.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We're going to start with the Examiner. The headline there, Surge in Migrant Workers Being Exploited. It goes on to say that the Migrant Rights Centre Ireland has said its caseload of exploited workers has doubled in the space of a year.
Roads will get built as Greens are sidestepped. Transport Minister Eamon Ryan is being sidestepped and around €6 million is funded for roads is being found. Funds the Green Minister had refused to sanction, and that's the top story in the Daily Mail.
The Irish Times leads with death toll grows in Lebanon as Israel says it will continue strikes. It states that at least 569 people have been killed since Monday, including 50 children and 94 women. There's also 1,835 wounded. This is according to Lebanon's health ministry.
The Mirror's headline is Stop Fueling Bloody Horror. Micheál Martin has urged the US to stop selling weapons to Israel as its latest attacks on Gaza killed 11 people.
The Herald's front page, woman is jailed over a false rape claim. A woman, she has been jailed for 3 months for falsely claiming a man raped her in a Dublin hotel room whilst 2 others watched.
The Star's front page leads with 6,000 rooms to improve. It includes pictures of the delayed €2.4 billion National Children's Hospital, which has revealed it's still in unfinished state.
And the Sun leads with Phil, I'm back. The Star, Phil, formerly on This Morning, has secretly filmed a one-man survival show, Castaway, for Channel 5, while marooned off Madagascar for 10 days. That is Phil Schofield there.
50,000 homes ready to go, but no one wants to build them. Construction work has not yet started on more than 50,000 apartments that have planning permission in Dublin. That's according to new figures published by local authorities in the city on the front of the Irish Independent.
We're going to stay with that story on the front of the Irish Independent. There is a delay in building apartments due to high construction costs. Joined
with that is Jack Corrigan-Jones from the Irish Times and Lorcan Nine from the Communications Clinic. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Lorcan, I suppose we'll start off with this. 50,000 apartments ready to go, huge housing crisis, but it doesn't make sense. It's commercially unfeasible to build them.
Yeah. So it's figures from Dublin City Council. So basically in Dublin, it's 50,000 units, 50,000 homes, mainly apartments, that are just, people are saying, too expensive to build. So when you break down the kind of per square metre cost of building apartments, in Dublin, we're the second highest across Europe. Zurich beat us, but it's €2,363 per square metre, about averaging out about 500,000 per apartment to build apartments in Dublin, which means effectively these are ready to go. The planning permission is there. People need houses. People need to be able to buy homes, and these just aren't being built because developers are saying we can't afford to build them, which means that the amount of apartments being built in Ireland is absolutely minuscule. Then we're looking at about 1,600 being built next year in terms of apartments, according to Savills. So 1,600 apartments. We're going to need apartments if we're actually going to address the housing crisis, and it seems like we can't afford to build them, or developers don't want to. There are other things to be building that you get more profit from.
OK, so when it comes to these houses, are these for private sale, Jack? Are these local authority apartments that we're talking about here? What's the situation? Is it a mix of both?
Well, I think part of the problem is that the only entities that were really building apartments in Dublin were these big buy-to-rent overseas capital cuckoo funds. Yeah, exactly. But even because of the changes in the underlying dynamics, whether it's financial or the cost of their finance, because there's a lot of higher interest rates out there, so it costs them more to borrow money. So their margins come down, or whether it's the cost of building, that's gone up. So basically, that sliver of profit that even only large institutional investors could extract seems to be getting smaller. Therefore, they've less interest in actually building these things. And when you take a step back from it, building apartments it tends to be a more complex process than building a house, because at a very simple level, if you're building an estate of houses, you build the first one, you sell it, you use the profit there to build the next one, and it kind of works as a domino. If you're building an apartment block, you have to build the entire block before you can sell any apartments in it. So the financial kind of mechanics underpinning apartment delivery are different to building your traditional estate.
I didn't realise that. Yeah, so apartments are the most expensive form of residential accommodation to construct, and because the pension funds who would have built them in the past, they don't have the stability that they would have had. They're not being able to make the yield that they would have. No one is willing to fund building these houses. So we know there's a housing emergency in the country. Is it up to the government to pay for this? Who's gonna?
Well, I mean, there comes a point that I think that we have to just, stop just saying, well, it's housing crisis, housing emergency, because that seems to mean that you do unusual and extraordinary measures to fix it, and that doesn't seem to consistently be the case. If you zoom out from it, we're going to need apartments. You're not going to hit housing targets if you don't have apartments as part of the portfolio of things that you're building. People are getting married later, people are single longer, people are having smaller families. Like, the suite of housing in Ireland is going to have to include apartments, and traditionally it hasn't. That's government. Government has to look at it and say, right, OK, we need to slightly shift our model, change our model. So, like, there has to be something done.
Bring back cuckoo funds to fund it?
And then when you fix that problem, and then maybe nothing done underneath to say, right, well, if we fix that problem, or if we alter that, well, what are we going to do to replace it? What's the solution underneath it? Solution-wise, it's difficult, because, I mean, it's really, from what I can see...
that they've got a solution. Their solution is going to have it state funded. You're going to have a state building department.
That's it. It's either the state builds them or gets involved in building them, and can still be affordable housing, social housing, but also private housing. So either the state gets involved, or you incentivise developers more. But that's not overly popular.
But every time they do that, every time you hear about a developer being incentivised, there was 2 years ago when a developer was getting 150 grand to build an apartment per unit, and people were going absolutely mad. There's 3 places here: Dublin City Council, Dún Laoghaire and Fingal. So this is just looking at Dublin. One would assume it is the same situation around the country.
Yeah, and
for apartment building.
If it's that bad in Dublin, where the costs, where the cost they can charge is higher, obviously, but the input costs are more or less the same, you'd have to imagine it's even worse around the country.
Everywhere else.
And the government, the state has made an effort to step in here with a scheme called Croí Cities, where they basically act as a guaranteed purchaser at the far end of it, but it doesn't seem to be working at scale. So you have these kind of stranded developments all around the city.
Very frustrating whenever we know the tough time people are finding to get onto the housing market, as well as also another story in the Irish Times about apartments that might have little faults in it, but you can't get a mortgage on it to pay for those at the minute, so cash buyers are just swooping in and get them for bargain deals.
Yeah, and this is the legacy of the Celtic Tiger. We're talking about apartments that can't be built right now, but this is apartments that were thrown up back in the day, so this is largely apartment stock that is built between around 1991 and 2013. Building standards, we know, were very lax. The oversight was very bad, and a lot of these apartments have issues. And basically, when you're living there and you hear something in the wall, you open it up, and all of a sudden you realise there's no fire stopping. And this seems to be prevalent across a huge amount of the housing stock, something that I've been writing about for a decade or more. So the government has...
And again, who's accountable?
Well, certainly not the people who built them, but they've walked
they're
away.
not, are they? They're like, bye, see you later.
Exactly. So the people who are left holding the costs of this are, in the first instance, the people who bought the apartments now find that because of this, the stock is illiquid, no one will buy it. And then those who even might be willing to accept some of the risk of remediation going forward, they're now finding, as we report this morning, that they can't get finance, they can't get mortgages because banks just won't lend.
It just gets better and better leading into this general election. We're going to be speaking to Hugh Wallace a little bit later on, where he wants money for derelict houses all over the place. We're all getting money for derelict houses.
To move above shops, which I think makes sense as well.
So we'll chat about that in just a little while. Now we're going to move on to another story, and this is Ryanair. Ryanair are not giving out to Eamon Ryan on this one, though, I don't think. They are talking about drinking We all know there's no time when you go to the airport. You can have a drink whenever you want. Isn't that right, Lorcan?
I am always blown away by the amount of people drinking at God knows what hour of the morning the airport.
Yeah.
It is insane,
The
isn't it?
ritual of at 7 o'clock in the morning, say, well, I'm in the airport and therefore I must have...
I don't know why it just feels like holiday time.
So Ryanair have been calling for a while that they want a 2-drink limit in Dublin Airport because of the issue of people going on to flights haven't had too many pints in the airport, too many drinks in the airport, and therefore drunk on flights, and it's causing issues. So the response to that has been, but are ye limiting the drinks on your flights? Like, ye have a 2-drink limit because they can drink on your flight too. And what they're now saying is, we would absolutely do that, provided Dublin Airport do it first. So it's kind of we have no problem at all with having a limit, but Dublin Airport have to act first.
Like, you have to wait for the trolley to come all the way back up again. So you'd be doing well to get more than 2-3 drinks on a plane. But I do see where they're coming from. Like, people who are loading the pints in the airport. And then getting onto a flight.
If Ryanair truly believed there was an issue, they would take the hit on their profits on the trolley first.
They would stop.
And they would take the lead on it. But even...
Are they not saying that they will?
If Dublin Airport do it first.
But this is all airports.
Well,
it's
why
like
couldn't they be a
Manchester,
leader?
Glasgow as well.
Why couldn't they be a leader going, we're stop selling alcohol, that's it. They could lead in
Or
this
we're
if
getting
they
quite
wanted to.
insistent on people coming onto
Dublin
a flight.
Airport?
No, Ryanair. They could lead
Ryanair.
and say, we're no longer selling alcohol on our flights. We're done.
I do get
When
it.
have you ever known Michael O'Leary not to sell something?
I know that. He could concentrate on the lotto
lottery
tickets.
tickets.
What do you make about this? Not drinking on flights, not drinking when you get to the airport, or a 2-drink limit?
Or
0896
Yeah,
111.
have you been on a plane and there's unruly passengers there who've had too much to drink and it's kind of spoilt?
it's awful.
You're there with the family, you're there, and all of a sudden there's a stag do behind you, and it's so annoying. 0896 111, and I've been one of those stag do's. Let's move on to our final story. Sex, chores, money, it's all in our relationship contract. Who wants to take this one?
This is in the Daily.
I think I started the other 2 stories, didn't I? Yeah. There has been a couple who said they admit they're an unusual couple, and they've sat down, they've put together a relationship contract where they sit down, they have a scheduled meeting and they run through it and they say, here's how we organise our lives, here's what you do that annoys me, here's what I do that annoys you, here are the tasks that we do, you do those tasks, I only do these tasks, here's how we govern our lives. To the point, actually, that they wrote down a list of everything they own, so that if they ever break up, which was a very, very kind of pessimistic view of their relationship, they would know who owned what. I am loath to judge anybody's life, but this guy involved here, Marcus, is a life coach, so I feel I'm free enough to critique his work.
Well, Rosie is a sex therapist.
I mean, come on. Something like this is going to happen.
I think it's an absolutely horrendous idea. I think it's awful. I think the idea of putting rules and conditions around who does what or how you talk to each other is just taking the human out of a human relationship. Also to the point of the way they divide up their tasks is that the washing, cooking and tidying up is done by Rosie, and vague household maintenance, quite vague there, is done by Marcus.
It's a lot less frequent as well, isn't it?
A lot less
how often do you have
frequent,
to fix a shower head compared to empty the dishes?
Every time he needs to bleed a radiator, Marcus is there once every 2 months. But tidying up, so Marcus will never pick anything up in the house.
He doesn't pick up, he's a life coach. He doesn't pick anything up.
Yeah, he's too busy.
He's too busy coaching his life, man. He doesn't have time to see the sock on the floor. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
He doesn't have that.
But
So-
this even comes down to sexual desires are written down as well.
Yeah, they don't go into much detail on that one. In fairness, they don't.
Tommy
go
did
into
a deep dive. Tell
They
us more,
sure did.
Tommy.
Rosie, the sex therapist, talks about they've put down their sexual desires and needs into the contract. So, I mean, there you have it.
How detailed
we were
is it,
talking
though,
about
yeah?
shifting for 6 seconds yesterday. You know what I mean? That's the
It
contract.
was indeed. Do you have
Jobs
pink
that
and
only
blue
you
jobs?
do.
Are you allowed to even say that anymore? Do you have a job like putting out the bins? Who does the washing? Who does the cooking? Or is it a case of coming together and sharing for a good relationship?
We were
We'd
talking
love
to
hear.
him one day, and
0896.
you were doing your Excel sheet from like 6 o'clock. You got up early and you couldn't get back to sleep. And we're like, "What are you up to?" He was like, "I was on the Excel sheet, writing out what the bills and everything."
That's just the finances. Yeah,
That's just
I don't have an Excel sheet for household tasks.
You don't
just
have an
for the
Excel.
record.
There is someone who has an Excel sheet for household chores. Please send it to us. 0896 111. We would love to see it. Not you, Lorcan, no. No, not this. Lorcan Ryan and Jack Corgan Jones. He was like, "Where are you going with this Excel sheet thing?" Thank you so much for joining us today. Going into the Finance
lads.
Committee today, is
Right,
it?
be quiet now.
Yeah.
With his spreadsheet. Coming up next, we are going to be getting an update live from Beirut on the escalation between Lebanon and Israel.
Back with you in a minute. Now, as we all know, tensions between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah have escalated this week, with Israeli airstrikes having killed 569 people in Lebanon since Monday.
Join us with an update live from Beirut in Lebanon is journalist Hannah McCarthy. Good morning to you, Hannah. First of all, how are you? What is the situation with you there in Beirut?
Sure. So, I mean, it is very tense at the moment here. I think over the last week, the sense of security in the city and certainly in the south of the country has deteriorated quite quickly. Tens of thousands of people have fled their homes in southern Lebanon. I think the latest figures we're getting is that there's about 500,000 people displaced from the south of the country. Many of them are moving up with very little belongings. They had, basically minutes of a warning before the Israeli campaign started on Monday morning. People may have seen reports of this, but voice messages were sent to their phones saying that if they're anywhere near Hezbollah weapons or stockpiles, that their buildings will be targeted. Many people have no idea whether they're near a stockpile of weapons or not, or whether there's something hidden in a basement near them at all. So, I mean, it's sowed panic across people in southern Lebanon who have kind of fled to the northern parts of the country.
Hannah, when that message went out and they interrupted the telecoms of people in Lebanon, when Israel did that and telling them to move, it did bring in this idea of collusion amongst all Lebanese people and the Hezbollah, that they would know where these weapons were. Is that a situation? How has that been greeted by the people of Lebanon?
Sorry, this idea that Hezbollah and the Lebanese
that everyone would
same.
know where the weapons are, because they were like, get away from Hezbollah weapons, as though everyone would know where they were.
Yeah, sure. And I think people really panicked at this idea that they would have some sort of knowledge or some sort of way to keep themselves safe by staying away from these buildings. So Israel obviously has a very sophisticated missile defense system. It has a very sophisticated warning system. You get these notifications on your phone when you need to go to shelters. Lebanon has none of that. It doesn't have any shelters. It does not have an app helping you know when there are strikes near you. There is very little infrastructure. So, most of these people who've been displaced have been making the decisions by themselves without any support from the government, without any kind of, clear evacuation plan from the government. And they're kind of basically fleeing and hoping that they'll find somewhere to stay.
Hannah, listen, we know that there are Irish peacekeepers over in Lebanon at the minute. There's a lot of families worried sick about their loved ones over there. You are in Beirut at the minute. How are you?
I'm good. Look, journalists are here, for these times, and that's why we're here reporting. These are the kind of stories journalists report on. But I mean, it's extremely stressful the school term just started back for lots of families, so there's huge amount of disruption for just ordinary families at the moment. Schools have been turned into shelters, and for the displaced people, leaving their homes in South Lebanon, that's far more disruptive.
An awful lot has been said recently about that. These are all sort of tactics in order to draw Iran into the conflict that is currently going on between Israel and Gaza, and now that they've moved into southern Lebanon. What is the mood music coming from Iran?
I think Iran's president at the UN Assembly in New York made the statement, Hezbollah clearly does not have the same capabilities as Israel, which is, one of the most well-equipped armies in the world. It kind of made this he made this statement, that other Arab forces would need to support Hezbollah and that Lebanon could not be left alone. It's always hard to know whether these statements are, kind of puff, or is there something real behind it? We did see some strikes on Israel from Iran-backed militias in Iraq, but it's not yet clear at all that Iran is going to come to save Hezbollah or kind of back it up at this point. Iran kind of has kept its most sophisticated, arms to protect itself, and it's not yet clear that it would use it to protect Hezbollah or to back up Lebanon in this way.
We know that a lot of the major world leaders are at the UN annual meeting in New York at the moment. US President Joe Biden has addressed the UN, but they're still supplying ammunitions to Israel. What's going to happen with this? Are the other world leaders going to actually start standing up to him? Are the UN, should they be doing more?
I don't think Biden's statement is anything different than we've seen kind of throughout the Gaza war, kind of statement, saying, Hamas started this war, calling for a ceasefire, but no real change of policy. I think in general, no kind of major world leader seems to be standing up and kind of getting involved in this escalation in Lebanon. And I think there are concerns, particularly in Lebanon, that there's plenty of, foreign governments, European governments that are happy to see Hezbollah's capabilities hurt, even if significant amount of civilians get hurt along the way. There's many Western countries and EU governments that view the Lebanese state unfavorably. They view the government as corrupt, and they think Hezbollah does not govern Lebanon. It controls parts of the country, but I think they certainly feel like its influence is too strong in the country. So this idea of it being hit is not necessarily something they might view negatively, despite the huge humanitarian impact.
They took out many commanders, of course, of Hezbollah last week. And as you mentioned, let's be honest about this, when it comes to Hamas and Hezbollah, they're designated terrorist organisations by so many places around the world. While all this is happening, and a senior Lebanese minister said yesterday, only Washington can stop this now. But it was, Joe Biden didn't seem to say much at the UN yesterday. All this is happening, and we still have a serious situation in Gaza while our eyes are drawn to Lebanon. So what's been happening there over the past few days?
I mean, the situation is as bad as it's ever been in Gaza. Schools are being struck. Half of hospitals are still not working at all, and the other half are only partially working. I think 5% of school children in Palestine are having any sort of kind of school education at the moment. That's after a year of no education. They're conducting polio vaccination program because, we had the first reported case of polio, which can paralyze children in the summer. So again, just an extremely bleak situation. We started seeing, rainfall in Gaza when people, are staying in tents. Many of these people have been displaced many times. So just, an appalling humanitarian situation without any, clear exit plan or solution, and people facing a really frightening winter with even less resources than they had last year.
It's absolutely horrific. Listen, I asked you this a couple of times, asked this a couple of months ago. Where does this end? What do Israel want out of this? What will make them stop?
I mean, I think we're at a point where kind of events are kind of taking out some of the analysis that we can really do. I mean, at the moment, Israel says it wants to be able to return its 60,000 Israelis to the northern Israel, where it says they won't be refugees at their own country. It feels like to do that, it needs to create a security buffer. It's basically depopulating the southern area around the border in Lebanon. But there's now, hundreds of thousands of people displaced in Lebanon, and they at some point need to go back home too. I mean, the only answer, and it seems absurd, kind of talking about political decisions at the moment, is, for there to be a political deal, around the blue line where all the Irish peacekeepers are. This is, about having even a bigger role for UNIFIL, about Hezbollah getting away from the border areas, about Israel, stopping violating Israeli airspace or Lebanese airspace, and, that kind of agreement. But I mean, it just feels very far off, even though that's been the template for years of what should happen.
Hannah, we hope that you stay safe. You are currently in Beirut, and hopefully your family are looking at you and checking in with you all the time. We really appreciate you talking to us today. Mind yourself, Hannah. Thank you so much.
Super.
Thanks a million, Hannah. Thanks so much for Hannah for chatting to us over this whole conflict. She's been amazing. Alan is over on the couch. We're going to talk about something different. Alan, what's coming up next?
Yes, after the break, we're going to be discussing how to get financially fit. See you back here very shortly.
Welcome back. Now we're putting this into very calm terms. Fighting the battle of financial burden is one that absolutely everyone can relate to. So we are looking for practical tips to ease the struggle.
Yes, and here to help us get financially fit is finance expert and founder of MoneySherpa.ie, Mark Cohn. Good morning to you, Mark.
Mark, how are you?
And I was just saying to you, is there a time of year where people get a bit stressed thinking, OK, we're coming into the winter, bills and Christmas, but you said it's January that people get stressed.
Yeah, that's really the hangover. But that's why now, talking about it now really is the perfect time. So that kind of sense of dread that people have around finances.
When all the bills come in January.
Yeah, so really that dread's about not feeling in control. So what you really want to do is take back control by getting financially fit. And there's two things really that you're looking to do. So the first thing is to spend less. And if you think about it, that's a little bit like getting your diet right when you're getting physically fit. And then the second thing is to earn more. And that's a little bit like...
We all want to do that.
Exactly. But that's a little bit like exercises. So that's kind of building the financial muscle. So if you can do those two things, you can kind of make that sense of dread go away a little bit.
So that's spending less. For you, it's the...
Mary going, OK, how do I spend less?
No, because I do think it's the repercussions. We are seeing pubs, we're seeing coffee shops, we're seeing little places close down all over the place because we're all spending less.
Yeah.
We don't have more money in our pocket because of the cost of living. Can I honestly ask you, we lived on credit during the Celtic Tiger. We were all living on credit.
Yeah.
But now we're not anymore in Ireland. We've got loads in savings. But yet it does seem like everyone is at the pin of their collar. Is this one of the worst times that you have seen it for financial reasons in Ireland?
There's no doubt that households are really feeling the pain
It
at
feels
the moment.
everywhere.
And I think that's why this conversation around kind of how do you get financially fit is more important than ever. So, I mean, there are two ways you can spend less. The first is to buy for less, which is really around shopping around. So, on average, an Irish household can save €7,000 just by... There's a lot of work in this. It's not that easy, but just by going through every single kind of service that they're spending on and looking for the cheapest supplier.
Is this like switching your telephone supplier or your Wi-Fi or whatever, your health insurance?
It is, and the biggest kind of the two big hitters are mortgages is number one. So we were just talking about that, Mary. So mortgages are typically an Irish household can save $2,000 a year by switching their mortgage to the best rate. And the reason that's such a good one is the average term that's left on somebody's mortgage is 15 years. So if you save $2,000 a year for 15 years, that's 30,000. So that can make a huge difference.
When you look at it like that.
Yeah. The other big one is really about being organised, and that's the weekly shop. So by kind of just shopping once and not popping to the local store.
Does that make a big difference?
It does. So if you're shopping in one of the discounters and you're shopping once and you're not popping out to your local convenience store to just top up your shopping because you've forgotten this bit, you've forgotten that. That on average for an average Irish household is around $1,000 a month. So those two,
$1,000 a month.
Yeah. So those two can make a really big.
Oh Lord,
$1,000 a month.
A year. Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, a year.
Okay,
a year. Okay, a year. I was going to say, what are you eating? What are you eating?
We would have solved everything there.
Yeah, and also, like, we have become this cashless society, so we're just tapping all the time. You're a big believer if you have cash, you will spend less.
Yeah, listen, there was a great piece of research that came out recently. So just by going back to cash and taking the card off the phone and leaving your cards at home, it's been shown that you spend 20%. So just physically having to hand over cash causes people to think, hang on, rather than just tap.
20% less.
20% less on your budget. That's what the research.
Okay, that's huge.
It is huge.
So we're going from, in that regard, we're going from everything, from everyday items popping to the shop all the way through to clothes.
Yeah, and it's because it's discretionary. This, when we were talking earlier, Miriam, it is hard for certain stuff you've just got to spend money on, and you've got to live your life as well. What we're trying to do here is make it just a little bit difficult to stop spending that wasting the money.
Yeah.
So by just taking a minute and moving back to cash, you can do that. The two other things you can they're fairly handy to save on. I don't want to be a killjoy, but the drink and smoking, on average, if you're a drinker and you're a smoker, that's $4,000 a year for the average Irish household. Now, the truth is, almost all that's going to revenue. So anything you can cut back, on that is really good.
Yeah.
And just this one's I like this one because it's really the simplest, and you could probably do this now. So home heating. So just 1 degree on the thermostat. Now this may cause war in the house, but 1 degree on the thermostat
would save you how much?
Well, and 10 degrees on your boiler. Your boiler's probably set to around 60. You drop that down to 50. Skin starts to burn at around 45, so you don't need to be at 60 on your boiler. That's 400 a year. So you could go into the kitchen now, tweak those 2 down, and that's 400
all
a year.
these little things that were people
If he's watching,
in.
don't you dare.
No, but people looking in this morning, we can make all those savings, but you're also going to say, earn more. People going, well, I have my job, I have my wages, it's sorted. How can I earn more?
Yeah, this is the one people just don't think about. So there's a couple of things. So obviously, you have your job. The employment market is pretty tight at the moment, so the power's actually with the employees.
Yeah.
So you can look at other jobs. You can also threaten to look at other jobs and ask your employee, because you're probably more valued at work than you think you are. So you've probably got more bargaining power. So that's the first thing you can do. Second thing is side hustles. So one thing that people don't think about are things like renting out a room, for example. So that's another way to increase your income.
Is that 13,000 or 18,000 tax-free?
Yeah, it's the tax relief on it is absolutely fantastic, because obviously the government's trying to tackle some of the housing
issues,
crisis, and so they're
Students.
trying to free up more rooms and more accommodation. So you can really take advantage of that, because it is tax-free money if you have got a spare room, and you're probably helping somebody out as well in terms of the housing crisis. And then the other option that you have, which I quite like, is there's lots of platforms now where you can just work online and do pretty mindless stuff. So instead of scrolling through Instagram at the evening, you can actually scroll through, train an AI, and get paid for it. So, you know, these are little tips that you can...
Through what?
So you can actually go on a platform like Upwork, and you can train, you can swipe, and you can be training an AI, and you can be getting paid for it. It's just like using Insta, but you're getting paid.
Training someone to take over our jobs market. It's terrible. So little things people can be doing online, earn a little bit more money if that's what they want to do.
Exactly.
Very interesting.
go.
There you go. You'll be swiping
So
left,
there,
right.
I'm turning down the heating. I'm going to go to the shops once a week.
0896 111 111. Some of your money-saving tips we would love to hear
What
from
are
you
you
today.
doing at the moment?
Thank you so much, Mark Cohn, founder of moneysherpa.ie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
we
you.
really
Thank
appreciate
you very much.
Thank you. Still to come this morning, architect and presenter Hugh Wallace on the promise of derelict properties.
Plus, we learn how to make the perfect roast chicken. We'll see in a few minutes.
Hello, you're very welcome back to IrelandAM.
Now, first up this hour, architect and presenter Hugh Wallace. He'll be stopping by. Who knows what gorgeous glasses he's going to be wearing. Always has amazing glasses. He's in the middle of renovating his own property. Hopefully we'll have a little go at that. But he's advocating that the government, they increase the grants in next week's budget for derelict properties so as that we can get more people into structures that are already there using them as homes. We'll be chatting to him at 8:15.
Makes a lot of sense, considering the front of the paper is talking about all these apartments they can't build. At 9:20, we're going to be meeting a University of Limerick graduate who's designed a scalp cooling device for chemo patients. Absolutely incredible.
And for something completely different, at 9:45, we, the three of us, are going to be retelling the legendary tale of Cú Chulainn. Look at him there, he's ready to go.
Ascailga.
Are you at Ascailga? Oh, he's been practicing. Do you know how we're going to do it? Through the form of yoga, everybody. Cú Chulainn and yoga. Warrior poses at the ready.
Class. Can't wait for that. Now, something I cannot wait for, genuinely, I'm so excited for this. Alan is with Jack O'Keefe in the kitchen.
Yes, we've been talking about this all morning, because do you think you make a good roast chicken? Well, Jack is going to show us how to master it this morning. Good morning to you, Jack.
Good morning.
So we were just sort of, we all put a chicken in the oven, but you have a little few tips that you think will make it extra perfect.
Look, this is the perfect family dinner, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is how I do it at home. So, like, just to show people quickly, I just cut off the strings. Just a normal supermarket, small chicken that you get in a normal supermarket, nothing super fancy.
Had one last night.
If you have a bigger family, just get a bigger chicken, right?
Well, that makes
My
sense,
main
doesn't
step,
it?
yeah, that's it.
That's the small one.
Or
Get
get
a
two.
large one. I'll get two of them, yeah.
My main thing that I do different to everyone at home is I
You
take a kitchen
spatchcock
scissors
it.
and I spatchcock it by coming down the left and right side of the spine and just cut all the way through one side and then through the other side.
Oh.
I know it's a nice knife, isn't it?
Oh.
Nice
Alan,
crunch
sing
to that.
something.
Oh.
Right. Turn over, get your mic in there now. Turn over, spread it out like that, tuck the wings in behind the breast, put your hand out as if you're giving it CPR. and just wait till you hear the crack.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Welcome to Operation IrelandAM. And why do you spatchcock it?
What happens there is when the chicken is all bunched up like this, the legs take much longer to cook because they're darker meat, and they're protected by being in low like this, so they don't get the full heat of the oven. And you get a dry breast and barely cooked legs. So when you spread it out, it's all nice and even. It all gets the same amount of attention from the heat in the oven.
Right.
And you get a nice surface area to get that lovely crispy skin.
It's not the same when you're carving it. See, I love
wait till I
carving.
show you how to carve it.
Oh,
It's much better.
Looking forward to that. That's coming up a little later on. But
Now it's time to take a look at this morning's papers. We're going to start with The Examiner. The headline there, surge in migrant workers being exploited. It goes on to say that the Migrant Rights Centre of Ireland has said its caseload of exploited workers has doubled in the space of a year.
Roads will get built as Greens are sidestepped. Transport Minister Eamon Ryan is being sidestepped and around €6 million in funding for roads is being found. Funds the Green Minister had refused to sanction. It's the front of the Daily Mail.
The Irish Times leads with the death toll grows in Lebanon as Israel says it will continue strikes. It states that at least 569 people have been killed since Monday, including 50 children and 94 women. A further 1,835 have been wounded. This is according to Lebanon's health ministry.
The Mirror's headline is Stop Fueling Bloody Horror. Micheál Martin has urged the US to stop selling weapons to Israel as its latest attacks on Gaza killed 11 people.
The Herald's front page, woman is jailed over false rape claim. This woman was jailed for 3 months for falsely claiming a man raped her in a Dublin hotel room whilst 2 others watched.
The Star's front page leads with 6,000 rooms to improve. It includes pictures of the delayed €2.4 billion National Children's Hospital, which has revealed its unfinished state.
And The Sun, it's got a picture of Philip Schofield on the front and it says, Phil, I'm back. The Star has secretly filmed a one-man survival show, Castaway, for Channel 5, whilst being marooned off Madagascar for 10 days.
50,000 homes ready to go, but no one wants to build them. Construction work has not yet started on more than 50,000 apartments that have planning permission in Dublin. That's according to new figures published by local authorities in the city. And it's the front of the Indo this morning. There you have it. We're discussing that a little bit earlier on. I'm sure we'll discuss with Hugh Wallace coming up next after this as well. But another story we were talking about was Ryanair. So Ryanair have talked and tried to ask airports, I know it's Manchester, Glasgow, but Dublin as well, to ban more than 2 drinks.
How do you police that even in the airport in the morning? You go up and get these
Get a stamp. Get a stamp. Yeah, good question, I suppose.
You know, how do you police that? But a lot of you have been getting in touch with us. And Alma, I love this when Alma says, the airport is soul-sucking enough as it is. Take away a few pre-holiday drinks and folks that leave it till the last minute, run in, creating delays, missed flights. It caused more aggression at the airport, not less.
Not wrong.
Soul-sucking as it is.
Who wants to be in...
You don't need more than 2 drinks.
But lots of people would only manage, even if you're there an hour beforehand, you'd only manage to get 2.
But it's the people who arrive there 3-4 hours before and load the pints in before the flight.
So airport dads, they're the issue, are they? Is it airport dads?
Last year I was getting an Aer Lingus flight from Paris to Dublin at 5 a.m. 5 a.m, there you go. 3 very drunk, loud Irishmen who were drinking their duty-free vodka in the boarding area were stopped from boarding by staff. And to tell the truth, I think all the other passengers were relieved. 100%.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing.
That's at 5 a.m. They hadn't gone to bed.
No, but you do see that. Like, you turn up to the airport at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. There's people there with pints, getting the pints.
Stop it.
But they're on their holidays, so...
Jake says airport drinks are the start of the holiday and they are the nicest. Most of the time, there's only enough time for 2 or 3 drinks. Anyway, let's not suck the joy out of the airport.
But you not just think a 2 limit.
So can I just say, so
enough.
2 drinks. A drink in the air is the same as 2 on the ground, right?
Yes.
I remember being told that on a Ryanair flight years ago, and they were like, ladies, you know what I mean? So maybe it's the sort of thing.
Was this when you just gone, come on, can we have more Prosecco
Yeah,
here?
we were going to Rome, we were having a great old time. And I think
God help the other passengers.
We were very, very, very quiet. But it is, you kind of, in the air, you get a little bit floopy, don't you, when you have a few drinks. So I don't mind not drinking in an airplane.
Though we do see more, like, and this is in shops, this is on roads, this is everywhere. People are getting more frustrated, losing their temper or whatever else. And I think Ryanair is saying that with a few drinks, with the stress of the airport, they're seeing fights and arguments
and that's
making
not
it
good. And taking it out of the staff,
unpleasant for their
But a lot
staff
of
and
that drinking-
unpleasant for a lot of
And I
the
agree.
other people.
It's awful for the air stewards who are there going to do it. But an awful lot of that drinking has also been done on the plane.
Like,
Well, I
I've
don't
been
know
on
how many
planes with
drinks you
stag
get on a
parties
plane.
and stuff like that. It's not even that. And like, yeah,
can get a non-empty
really
on a plane.
boisterous and loud. But like, I suppose they're not doing any harm. But it is quite disturbing if you're on like a 2-3 hour flight
Absolutely, it's
and you
gotten-
just have these lads or even the girls with hen parties just shouting all
It's gotten
Alan Hughes!
Yeah, Tommy Bow, 10 siblings.
10 brothers and sisters. It's never 10 siblings.
But
anymore.
like Ryanair did say that if the airports did put that in, they would follow suit and only have a 2-drink limit on the flights. Which,
We'd
can
love
you
to hear from
imagine
you.
if that?
0896 111 111.
Have you been on a flight with some unruly Alan Hugheses beside you? We'd love to hear.
You work on a flight.
Coming up next, we're going to speak to architect and television presenter Hugh Wallace.
Talk to you in a minute on IrelandAM.
Good morning, you're very welcome back. Now, our next guest is well known for his eye for design and his flair for style.
And his eyewear, simple as that. Please welcome architect and presenter Hugh Wallace. Hello, Hugh. It's lovely to have you here. How are you?
Good morning. Great to have you with us, Hugh.
And you're looking sparkly,
Oh,
the pair of you.
look at you.
Look at that beautiful colour combination.
That's
Aren't
what
you
we're
just
trying to
lovely?
do.
We're like your
Look
shirt
at
and
you.
socks.
There we go.
Exactly.
See?
You really do practice what you preach because, you know, you host the Great Home Revival and you are reviving your home and you have been for a while now, haven't you, doing a renovation?
Yeah, well, we're at it 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yes, but I'm an architect, that's the problem. Never use an architect. Can I just tell
What
you that?
hope does
Look
that
at this.
give other people?
If you're more organised, you can be better at it.
I pass this house all the time. I'm like, where's he at now?
There,
What's he
look
at?
that.
Where is he going to be at this
the
stage?
The roof's going on halfway through. The roof will be finished now this week. And then the windows are going in, and then we start on the inside.
2.5 years.
Yeah, well, it's complicated in Ireland. Our home was like the ESB substation for the whole street. And it was all the public lighting and all the telephone wires. So they took a year. Took a year to move all the service.
Wow.
Well, listen, and you can see why people are pulling their hair out. I mean, you bought that house in 2022. You thought you were going to be into it very quickly. What's the hold-up? What's the hold-up in general? Has it been planning? Has it been building?
No,
Has it been...
not planning
What
at
is
all.
it?
It has to do resources.
Resources.
There's a huge issue of resources in this country in terms of labour, carpenters, anyone, any roofers. And people aren't doing apprenticeships.
And then because of that, they can demand what price they want.
They can, yeah. And you know, the whole issue we have at the moment is that, one, if you're, funny enough, if you're a first-time buyer or you have grants available, you're in pole position at the moment in buying a house because you're not in a I have to sell my house before you chain. And so there are opportunities for people. I know that's hard to believe, but there really are, but you must have your ducks in a row.
Because it's interesting at the moment, there's a big recruitment drive starting with the Australian government because they have now set these housing targets and they're starting to recruit labourers and construction workers from Ireland to be like, come on over, we need to build 800,000, so there's loads of work here. But you have called on the government, and you have been talking about this for quite a while, and it's a part of your job, to increase the vacant property grant.
Yes.
And an awful lot of people would kind of look at a vacant property and go, I can't do it, because of all the horror stories about it taking 3.5 years and 4 years.
Yeah,
Do you think that there's reticence there from people as well to look at a vacant property?
No, I think that in the market we're now in, the opportunity is with old property.
Okay.
And you do need to be patient. But if you're willing to roll up your sleeves, you can really save money. So the house I was at yesterday for the Great House Revival would have cost $500,000 if they'd gone to the builder. but it'll actually have cost them 300,000 less 70,000. So they will have actually expended 220,000 because they did so much of the work themselves. And you have to be willing to take all the plaster off the wall.
Yeah.
And that's how you will save and make money. And then on top of that, you have the retrofit grants in relation to SEAI and upgrading your home, and they are just fantastic. And to maximise those, you need to go to a one-stop shop, Electric Ireland Super Homes, because if you go to somebody like that, they will take you through and assist you in the process. The issue is, if you get a grant in SAI for windows, in this grant, you can't get the grant in the
derelict home grant.
Because if you do get the windows in the derelict vacant property, then you have a problem. You can't maximise your grants in the SEI.
Yeah. Who helps you with this?
You go to one-stop shop.
Okay.
They will
walk
assist.
it through.
Yeah, because it's so important.
And it's worth every penny.
Oh, it's huge.
Because
it's huge,
you see the vacant property refurbishment grant, you have this new purchase and restoration loan. So the government are trying to help, but you need to know what you're doing and be willing to roll up your sleeves and get stuck in yourself.
You have to do your research. You really have to understand what the opportunities are. So if you do a co-share purchase with either the council or the government, then you have to get over 30% of the value. If you get that loan, you pay nothing for 6 years. After 6 years, you pay a maintenance charge of 1.5%. And after 15 years, you pay 2.5%.
All right.
And you don't have to repay the loan. But at any point on the journey, you can repay that loan.
Wow.
It's like studying for your leaving cert. I know that there's a great calculator on the SEAI website that you can look at to see what you can get. It's very good and it's very easy to use for people there if they were just looking at a house today, right?
If you can get the builders.
If you can get the builders.
No, but you're going to have to be the builder. And people are...
Well, for part of it now.
Yeah, no, I do understand for part of it.
I mean, there's only so much YouTube videos can help me with.
No, you can get on, you can do your studying. If you go and honestly, you go.
I mean, my wife wants a house that can stay standing after a big
standing, lads. You go to the techs. Do you remember you used to go to the techs and you do courses?
Yeah.
And you do a 3-week course on how to build studying. If you're genuine, you want a home and you want to actually get value, that's what you do. You shop around. People are shopping around online. If you go to Cavan and you ask for windows, they'll probably be 40% less than if you ask in Dublin.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point. 0896 111 111. We'd love to hear from you because there are people who are hiring from all over the country and actually just being really good at their research.
There's super kitchen shops down in Bantry.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying you need
look
to
around.
And you need to spend time on the internet.
But you have called for an increase of the derelict home grant.
Yeah.
What do you want it increased from to?
At the moment, if it's a vacant property over 2 years, you get 50,000.
Yeah.
If there are structural issues, you get 20. The structural issues need to be increased to 50,000.
Okay.
Because that's where the money goes. The money goes in structural issue. On top of that, you get your retrofit grant.
Oh, yeah.
Which can be up to 27,500.
Wow.
And, so there are grants out there.
Absolutely.
But you have to do your homework.
But then it is pushing the price up in a way as well, some people say. Now, listen, you've been quite open about your dyslexia diagnosis. Of course, you're a well-renowned architect as well. Was it difficult getting into architecture, which is such high points and so difficult to get into, but with dyslexia, was it a superpower? Did it help you or was it a hindrance?
No, well, in school, so there were 23 in my class in secondary school. I was 21st for all my years in school.
Right.
So I was just thick. I understood I was thick. Everyone told me I was thick. And so it's really debilitating to underestimate yourself and everything. Like, it's very complex.
It wasn't understood at all back then, really, though.
1975? Dyslexic?
Yeah.
What's that? Do you know, so So I was very lucky. My English teacher, after I'd done my mock leaving cert and just blown it, he said, "You're dyslexic." And I said, "Ooh, what's that?" I thought something had fallen off me. And so I went and I had to get diagnosed if I was, and I was, and it was severe. And my leaving cert, some of the subjects were done orally. And I got 5 honours. Now, I did get a D in Pass Irish, but I think that was the sympathy vote. Or, sorry, in Pass English. I think I did get a sympathy vote now in that. But, so, when that happened, my world changed.
Yeah, I can imagine. Get confidence?
Yeah, well, now...
Start believing in yourself?
I wasn't yeah, but, like, even today, kids today still hide not being able to spell, and it's exceptionally debilitating, and people ask you to spell and you can't spell, and initially you don't say to anyone you're dyslexic because you're ashamed. But today, if somebody had to go, I'm dyslexic.
How does it impact becoming an architect, though?
Oh, not at all, sure. Because you use the other side of your brain in architecture, you have the benefit. Because I see things in forms and shapes. So words are a shape. Yeah. They aren't letters.
So it's perfect.
So I see things completely differently. But I do think that English is such a bizarre language because the same word is spelled differently, but pronounced the same. Yeah. And so how is that?
Why does that happen?
How does that
What's
happen?
going on?
Surely there's only one word.
Make some sense of it.
Yeah.
But you did go on. You became an architect, very successful architect.
Oh, you're very kind.
Obviously, very successful architecture. And then, of course, the presenting is always a beautiful thing. Yeah. The Great House Revival, which is your baby, it's you. You don't have to deal with the other 2 people judging the home of the year to mind that.
I love a good wine. I love a good wind-up.
But you're filming it at the moment, and I love seeing because every year it does change how fashion combines with history. Yes. And trends. How are you doing this year? Is it looking good?
This year is amazing. The houses are amazing. They're amazing because they're value for money in a day and age where they aren't value for money. So, people are ending up with amazing homes for sort of 300,000.
Is that what you're looking for this year?
Yes, we're looking for, really what we would love is living over the shop. Because there is such an opportunity in this country of living over the shop. I decided you'd be perfect. Living over the shop.
Did you?
I could see
I
you
decided,
out
God
the front
help the
window.
shopkeeper.
You'd be out the front window. Don't you be out there.
Hugh, her mum's watching. What are you talking
Sorry. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's fine.
No, well, that's very interesting as well because we're seeing the shortage of apartments and actually the amount of open apartments that are empty above shops. So it's just not a thing we do anymore.
No, but we should
And above pubs and everything,
Yeah. But that, to me, there's a whole benefit there. There's cost economics, which hasn't been looked at, of doing up a home in our streets and towns.
Very interesting.
So it's huge opportunity.
If you want to invite Hugh into your room over a shop, let him know about it. You're filming the Great House Revival. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you so much. Lovely to see you.
Thanks a million, Hugh.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. We have Jack O'Keefe with us this morning.
Now, he's making, I said it to him a few weeks ago, make us the perfect chicken. And he has done that this morning, the perfect roast chicken. Now, you've a couple of little things that people might know at home. Good morning to you, Jack.
Good morning, lads.
The first step is you spatchcock your chicken.
I spatchcock my chicken so it's all evenly spread out. And we did it earlier on in the show. Just cut out the backbone and smash it out just so it evenly cooks, right? Okay. The second step you can do...
Because you can buy your chicken spatchcocked as well.
You can buy spatchcock. Your local butcher shop will do it for you if you ask them to do it. And if you don't like handling raw meat and so on, right? They can do that for you, and that's perfectly fine. My next little trick, this is optional, but this takes it to another level altogether, and you can have to do a little bit of planning here because you have to think the day before. So let's say you want roast chicken on Saturday for lunch, Friday...
Or Sunday for lunch.
Or even Sunday, Sunday's a beef day.
Come on.
Anyway, so we have... You're hungry, aren't you? Yeah. I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder, right? 2 teaspoons of salt, so it's 2-to-1 ratio of salt to baking powder.
Well, most people would have baking powder,
exactly.
would they?
Mix 2 of them together, and we're going to dust the chicken with it. and then you leave it overnight with that dusting.
Oh, you leave the chicken overnight.
Exact. Open in the fridge, uncovered, on a shelf of its own, and magic happens. Don't ask me what. Some scientific magic happens, and the next day when you cook it, the skin turns into almost like a sheet of glass. You'll see the one when it comes out of the oven. Right. It's amazing. Now, I'm not going to do it now because I'm not going to be leaving it in here overnight.
Yeah.
Right? So you just dust it on. I'll just do it anyway.
No. Okay.
Right, you just dust it on
you
anyway,
can't
right?
leave, like an hour won't do enough, like to leave it
2 hours
overnight.
at minimum will be fine.
Minimum,
2 hours, right? Get that dust on, leave it there. If you're giving it
Do
only
it
2 hours...
first thing in the morning even.
Exactly, that'll be fine, right? The next trick I do, and this is nearly even more important at home, is I brush the bird in mayonnaise. And I do the same thing with my turkey, right? So
I never thought I'd heard that phrase. I dust the bird with mayonnaise.
Why mayo, not butter?
So butter burns, and it also, as butter melts and heats up, it drips away, it gets onto your tray, sets off a fire, loads of smoke, all that kind of stuff. As mayonnaise heats up, it clings to the chicken and all that lovely, delicious saturated oils and healthy stuff. So some dried rosemary or dried thyme, or fresh herbs if you want, some pepper, and you can add in some chopped garlic, whatever you want, right?
Okay, right. And just rub that all over.
And just use a pair of gloves or a pastry
On
brush.
top of the baking soda and salt.
Once it's dried in.
Once it's dried in.
Yeah, and if you're not using the baking soda technique, don't worry about it.
See, I did a roast chicken last night. I just covered it all with oil and then loads of spices on it and just put it in the oven.
No
Get it
mayo.
all on, like, so.
No mayo, no. Well, Carl's allergic to mayo, so he'd die if I did that.
But
You wouldn't know once it's roasted.
The same technique will use.
Is that it now?
That's it. Right?
So what's all this stuff here for
That's
then?
my sauce.
Oh.
The same technique will work with vegan mayonnaise.
Okay.
So you have no eggs in it, right?
Okay.
Into an oven at 230 degrees Celsius, really hot.
230 for how long? I put mine in for
Depending on
about
the
55
size.
minutes last night.
So like a 1,600 gram chicken will be about 35 to 45 minutes.
Because it's spatchcocked.
Because it's spatchcocked, it cooks a lot quicker, and the bone almost acts as a heating source.
And if it
right?
gets too brown, take it out or turn it
Yeah,
down.
so
even.
this is the whole thing about like learning how to cook. It's not about me on TV just saying this is the time it's going to work every time. Chickens are a natural product, they're all different sizes. Everyone's oven at home is completely different.
Yeah.
Right? Keep an eye on the oven. Come back every 15 minutes and look. If the chicken is getting too brown and still too raw, just turn the heat down a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
And just finish it off that way. And then once it's cooked, and if the skin is still a bit beige, just crank that heat up and finish it off that way, right? I'll take out the other one in 2 seconds once I start my sauce, right?
Okay.
Pan on a nice high heat. I'm going to add in some rapeseed oil. Or you can use olive oil or whatever. Yeah. And then some chestnut mushrooms. This time of the year, mushrooms are in season. You get all these beautiful wild mushrooms now at the farmer's market and stuff. Mr. Bo hates mushrooms.
A lot of mushrooms gone in there.
A lot of mushrooms. They cook down fairly quick.
Okay. Right. So this is a mushroom sauce we're making first?
Yeah. Very quick mushroom sauce. Right? Chopped garlic.
Yeah. The one thing Tommy wouldn't be ordering a mushroom sauce.
I'll eat it, I don't care.
And it's really, really quick to make, right?
Right.
Once the mushrooms get a little bit of colour, knob of butter. Stir that in.
So you could have this, it would be a mushroom sauce for like a steak or anything, could you?
Exactly. This will work for steaks. It's great through a pasta.
Why so hot? Why is the pan so hot? Like it's really
Because I've only a
steaming
6-minute cooking segment. I need to
up.
move
Oh, right,
really
okay.
quick.
So you're actually going to make the sauce for us live, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. What's that now?
So this is just plain flour. So I'm making a rustic roux straight on top of the mushrooms.
So, because I was talking to you this earlier about making a gravy for this. If you were to do the gravy, you'd have the roux, so it's a butter and flour. Brown that off and then throw in your stock, is it?
Exactly,
And your juices from the chicken.
And would you not put any of the juices from the chicken in here?
At the very end, yeah, I'll just pour whatever's left in the tray.
Okay.
Right, so once my flour cooks in, you get a nice paste all around the mushrooms.
Yeah.
I then add in some chicken stock. And this is just a jelly stock pot, just dissolved in some hot water from a kettle. Just pour it in bits. The reason I don't dump it all in, it'll just take ages to come up to the boil. So I just put it in gradually. You'll see it instantly thickens.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Add a little bit more
All
in.
the good stuff's at
And
the
that's
bottom
the
there.
flour and the butter all mixed together then.
Yeah,
Make it nice and saucy.
nice and thick, right?
I can smell the garlic. Have you put garlic in there?
Oh yeah, tons. You know me, like garlic goes into everything. Bring that back up to the simmer. While I'm waiting to go up simmer, I add in a good dash of double cream,
Oh, look at that.
right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now that's going to come up to the simmer, and I'll
Could
finish
I
off
put
in a
into
second.
that as opposed to mushrooms? Black pepper, corn, good
Leeks
pepper
would be
sauce?
fantastic in it.
Leek?
Oh, leek.
Yeah,
Leek
sautéed
sauce.
leeks. Yeah.
With a chicken?
Yeah, this time of the year, leeks and chicken. It's what's in season.
I had leek
Leeks,
and potato
whole
soup the
grain
other day, it was
mustard,
gorgeous.
a leek and whole grain mustard cream sauce with chicken. Now look at that.
Wow.
Right, stick
Look
that
at
down
that.
so you can get a
Crispy
shot of
the
it. Yeah.
skin is.
Look at it, just right.
It's breathing.
Okay. We've all gone quiet. We're waiting on it here. We're like going, okay.
Okay, show us. So is there a knack to cutting it?
Yeah, so my knack to cutting it, right? This, when you go to culinary school, you call this chicken for sauté. So if I shout at any other chef and said, "Oh, you just cut that for sauté," this is the technique, right? So take your leg, pull it back from the crown, and just cut straight down. And it's also called jointing because you cut through the joint, you don't cut through the bones. Find the seam between the knee joint and the thigh, and it cuts straight through
You
it.
cut that as well.
It never cuts that easy. Right.
But you got to find the joint. So it's like you can feel a little knuckle.
Yeah.
And just go straight through
That
the
must
joint.
be a really good knife, though.
Wow.
So that was one of your knives from your canteen because I left mine in the office.
Definitely not that. Okay. Okay, and then
Straight through the breastbone, crunch down through it like that.
through
Mind your knife.
the bone there.
Straight through the bone, yeah, straight through the breastbone, and then across here again, on that one, through that bone.
See, would you like it like that, Tommy? I love when I get a roast chicken. I love slicing it.
I know, that's
And I
what I
like-
thought you normally do.
Oh, for me, no, it's
No, you
I
like
love it
the
on
big
bone.
chunky bits, do
Yeah,
you?
I'm an
And-
animal from Cork.
And
like,
you can
know.
kind of just peel that off the bone quite easily then
yeah,
as well,
just
can
pull
you?
it straight off, yeah.
And do you eat the skin? Of course you eat the
Right,
skin.
see the way my sauce is nice, thick and creamy?
Okay, come on,
I'm going to
give
make
us a
it even
taste.
more luxurious, and I'm going to add some Irish mature cheddar to it.
Come on, give us a taste of that.
Throw the chicken up there, I'll stir for you. Right, come on, you can serve, I'll get this going.
Now,
You've got to have the mushroom sauce in you.
Yeah?
Oh.
and I also
So, you do it like that, then you would serve it up like that, big chunks rather than
big chunks,
slices.
family style. 'Cause
Family
this is the
style.
perfect family meal.
Is that kind of the level you wanted
That's
it?
it, yeah. Do you want me to pour it over?
Oh, you're
Go on,
going to
yeah,
pour it
pour it
over
over,
it?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just into the gaps.
And would you do that at the table, then you'd serve it like that?
Serve it just like this, yeah.
Oh, wow,
And then
that
an extra gravy boat on the side. Wow. Right? And then some chopped dill or parsley or whatever you have. Like that. No, that's my family style roast chicken.
There, family style roast chicken. Look
Some
at that.
boiled baby potatoes, some curly kale, and that's a meal then done.
Where's the roasties?
We said we'd focus just on the chicken
Oh,
today.
right,
Next
okay.
week I'll come in and just do boiled baby potatoes, all right?
Jeez, give us a second, Tom.
Very hot.
Literally, give him a second.
Jack will keep.
Jack O'Keefe, thank you so much. Now, up next, we chat to an author about the importance of maintaining our natural wildlife. See you back here in a few minutes. All right.
Very welcome.
Now, just looking at this, it's absolutely beautiful. The Magic of an Irish Rainforest is a book that takes us on a stunning visual journey through Ireland's temperate rainforests.
Rainforest in Ireland? Yeah, we know what you're
Rainforests,
thinking.
yeah.
Joining us now is environmentalist, rewilding advocate and author of the book, Owen Dalton. Good morning, Owen. It's lovely to have you here. Question marks when we hear, because your last book was on Irish Atlantic rainforest. It won so many awards. What are you talking about? We've got rainforests in Ireland. We don't have rainforests, do we?
I know, it's still, a lot of people still haven't realised that temperate rainforest is the natural habitat of probably most of our island, pre-clearing for farming, you know. And the really sad thing is that we've now got only tiny little fragments left, and most of them are completely wrecked by overgrazing, by sheep or too many deer. And that creates the conditions for invasion by invasive non-native plant species like rhododendron. So they're in a really bad state. But the happy side of the whole thing is the wonderful potential that's there. If we took some very simple steps, they'd come back to life.
What
And
are the
that's
simple
what
steps?
I did down in my place on the Bear Peninsula.
Yeah.
I bought a 73-acre farm in 2009 and moved down from Dublin. Bear is in West Cork, and a lot of the farm was covered in rainforests, but it was overgrazed by goats and sika deer, and had rhododendron and a whole bunch of other invasive plant species taking over. So I fenced out the goats and deer and started getting rid of the rhododendron and so on myself. And the whole place just exploded with life. You'd honestly just have to see it to believe it. It's just so rich with wildflowers and insects and birds and even several rare species of native mammals. So it's been wonderful.
But you see, people who have their bit of land and they have their rhododendrons, they probably think they're doing grand and they're protecting the countryside because they're not doing anything else with it. It's their bit of land and they're letting it graze. But there's something we can do a lot more with that bit of land.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is with invasive species is they kill off biodiversity. Biodiversity is kind of a shortened form of biological diversity. So it's, in my place, in my patch of rainforest, for example, it's an ecosystem composed of thousands and thousands of species that are all connected. And an invasive species like rhododendron or sika deer or feral goats just pushes all that out, and you end up with something which is very, very poor in
an awful lot of this would be because we know, and we've spoken before, you know, Ireland, we're the worst when it comes to biodiversity. We are terrible when it comes...
Not quite the worst, but we're way down.
We're way
there.
down.
Yeah.
Also, we're incredibly bad, the worst in Europe at how many forests we have covering our land.
Yeah.
But this sometimes puts people like you and farmers in direct conflict. But this is what you're saying doesn't have to happen.
Absolutely, Mirren. You know, it's a false conflict because, for a start, I think the most important thing that we all need to understand about farming, agriculture, is that it depends on stable conditions. And the very foundation, the basis of those stable conditions are natural ecosystems. And so by getting rid of nature, we're literally cutting the legs out from under what makes farming possible in the first place. So that's the first thing to say about it. But the second thing is that if we as a society understood how important nature is to everything, which it is, and started offering farmers alternative choices, and choice is the key word there. You're not talking about forcing anything on anybody, because that would be wrong and it would be counterproductive. But if you offer farmers the possibility of having viable livelihoods through rewilding their land, a lot won't go for it. They'll say, no, I'd rather carry on as I am, but some will.
How would you have a livelihood by rewilding? In what way?
Well, for example, where I am on the Beara Peninsula, most farmers are sheep farmers because the land is rough and so on. So they're paid farm subsidies to just have sheep on their land. I mean, the sheep don't really make any money. It's often a loss-making enterprise, but people do it anyway because they get the farm subsidies. And I'm not criticising that. You know, people need to survive. It's a hard part of the world to survive. But if you said to the same, or if the government said to the same farmers, look, you can carry on with your sheep, but there's this other option. You get paid the same money, and the amount of financial inputs are a fraction. The amount of time you have to put into what you're doing is a fraction of farming. Quite a few would say, do you know what, that would suit me.
And Europe are bringing up more and more forestry grants throughout the time. This is the new book.
Beautiful. It is. It's just stunning when you're going through it. How long did this take to put together?
I've been working on it for the last 2 years. So after my first book, An Irish Atlantic Rainforest, came out, I was asked to give talks all over Ireland throughout last year, 2023. And I used the opportunity to visit surviving pockets of rainforest all over the island of Ireland, north and south, and photograph them. And
it's just stunning.
It was a real joy to spend time in those places, but also quite painful, because, as I say, most of them are all in a terrible state. And there's really no reason for them to be that way, and there's no excuse either. You know?
So you've got places in here like Killarney National Park, you're going up to Tipperary, so everyone can see this. What do you hope people take away from it?
I hope they take away from it the fact that rainforest is a really important part of the heritage of every Irish citizen. And these places are so special. They're in a desperate state, nearly all of them, but with only a little tweaking, they could come back to absolutely explode with health.
It is. It's
stunning.
The magic of an Irish rainforest, a visual journey, and it really is a beautiful visual journey.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Back with you in IrelandAM in just a minute. He doesn't want to be sitting here. He wants to be back over with the chicken. It's gone.
Jacko
You've
eats
eaten. Have you eaten all of it?
It's delicious.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Welcome back to IrelandAM. We've got some great guests this hour. Let's see what's coming up.
Yes, coming up very shortly, we're going to meet a University of Limerick graduate who invented a portable device that could help people undergoing chemotherapy. It is unbelievable. I'm looking forward to chatting to her at 9:20.
Fantastic. At 9:45, we've got the tale of Cúchulainn. And how would you tell that tale? Through yoga, of course. So we're going to be doing that a little bit later on.
Now Alan is on the catwalk with Rob Condon.
Oh, he's giving out. See?
Certainly are. Well, I'm not giving out. I was just talking about this morning's fashion is inspired by Grandpa core. Now there isn't a grandpa or a man inside.
You're here.
The element. The shade. We're having none of that shade here this morning.
And the model is today.
Who are we talking about? Or what are we talking
We're taking
about?
a look at Grandpa Core. It's a micro trend that we're seeing on TikTok at the moment.
What did you mean, Grandpa?
It's
Like
taking those elements like a sweater vest, cords, like the check in this top here, and that kind of chunky knitwear, all of those pieces, cargo pants, all of that, loafers, and bringing it into your everyday wardrobe.
Okay.
And
All
would
right.
like a blazer and brown trousers kind of be in that sort of scheme as well, Rob?
Yeah, okay, the grandpa's here. Yeah, right, okay.
Great stuff.
Thanks,
Looking forward to
Tommy.
that. Thank you. Hello, you're
Right.
very welcome back. Now, we were discussing a lot of things this morning. Some of the things that have got people riled up this morning or interested in getting involved is talking about Ryanair asking for a 2-drink limit in Dublin Airport. And they said that if Dublin Airport do it, they will only serve 2 drinks on their planes as well. So Pat
Consider
said...
it.
They consider it.
I know they said they would do
No,
it.
it was different. As Jack Horgan-Jones said, they said they'd consider it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Pat said, I love my early morning pint in the airport, and to be honest, most people only have time for 2 or 3 pints.
Yeah,
Fair
most
play.
people, a lot of people were saying earlier on that the airport is so soulless, and sometimes when you're heading on your holidays, it's lovely to go in and the drink is just, 1 or 2 is just really
1 or 2 is
sets
great. But
you
1 or
off.
2 is great.
And it's lovely.
Ryanair have no issue with 1 or 2. It's the
I'm
stag do's
counting
and
down.
people
Do you
who
want
are
to recount?
on the
Will
5
ya?
and 6.
I'm counting down to the glass of wine with the girls next month. Like, I'm actually thinking
Just
about it
in
now. But
the
anyway,
airport with them.
Ken
Yeah.
said,
Great, I love it.
Ken, good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
I was on a flight to Liverpool 2 weeks ago. There was a hen party on board. They were drinking vodka and Prosecco was the mixer.
There you have it.
Disgusting. As soon as the soon-to-be bride got off the plane, guess what? She was getting sick. They were a lot quieter on the flight home. I have never heard of a vodka and Prosecco. Have you?
Yes.
You haven't.
I've done it.
Have you had one?
But you can understand where the cabin crew are coming from, can't you?
Oh, totally, when it's like that. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to Liverpool, you don't have time to get a Prosecco and vodka,
literally,
surely. You're up and
literally,
down.
it's up and down.
Oh, yeah. But sure, if
God.
you've bought it in the duty free and you're filling
you
up
weren't
your
allowed
cups
to be
there.
doing it, yeah.
We were also talking about a couple. One was a life coach and a sex therapist who, in their relationship, they decided to write out exactly what their tasks in the relationship was. So what each of them
Why
owned.
pink and why blue?
So it was a
this
his
very
and her,
sexist?
his and hers. So his and hers
right.
jobs are what they wrote out. We didn't really like pink and blue is kind of maybe a term they would have said in the past. Laura said, me and my husband have pink and blue jobs. There you go. Blue jobs are picking up the dog poo, emptying and putting out the bins, and power hosing the gardens. Then the pink jobs seem to be everything else that isn't
blue.
job.
I don't think putting out bins and all
lot more
are
pink jobs than blue
Yeah, a
jobs.
lot more. Helen says, I've always loved having a spotless house, so my 3 sons did everything, all the chores imaginable, from washing windows to scrubbing the inside of the presses to sweeping the cobwebs off the walls. Fair play to you, Helen. I've done the Lord's work
You have.
for all the girlfriends, because now in their own relationships, they're all blue jobs.
Everything is just a job that
It's
needs
just
to
a
be
job
done.
with the
Isn't that
boys.
it?
The
Isn't
boys
that
doing
it?
it all. But I love that. If you do start your kids, would you get do yours do chores?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, big believer
Yeah,
in doing that.
I love
Listen,
that.
we all have,
Yeah.
I think, about sharing jobs in the house.
Yeah.
But my job is definitely putting out the bins as well. Like, there's
What's the big
certain
problem
jobs.
with the bins?
I don't know.
No
but-
problem putting out the bins.
But
do you?
No. Do you put out the bins?
Yes.
Listen, anyway, thank you for getting in touch with us with those text
from them to
messages.
say your bin is juice. Or put it out.
Okay. I thought you'd have someone to do that for you.
So
Anyway,
stupid, Mary.
coming up next, we
Carl.
speak to the award-winning inventor who is helping cancer patients. It is phenomenal what she's invented. It's a brand new device.
Yes, we're going to be speaking to product designer Olivia Humphreys after this quick break.
Yeah, see you back here shortly.
Welcome back to IrelandAM. Now, after seeing her mother undergoing chemotherapy, our next guest noticed a shortage of some much-needed equipment.
So, as you do, she invented a portable version that went on to win the 2024 James Dyson Award. And here to tell us all about it is Olivia Humphreys. Good morning to you, Olivia. Great to have you with us, with the product as well.
Yes.
I do have to ask you, though, your mum, Vicky, was going through chemotherapy. How is she?
She's wonderful now. You'll see if you have any media photos, she's got hair twice the length of mine and she's been in remission since 2019. So yeah, she's
fantastic. Because there's your mum there, there's Vicky, there's yourself
Proud
and your
mum.
Yeah.
Because all of this, your mum got cancer when you were doing your leaving cert.
Yeah.
So it was something that you were kind of dealing with. But let's go back to how you got started on this world of being an inventor. You originally went to art college.
Yeah. I've always been interested in art and drawing and painting and stuff. So I thought, creative brain, I guess that's art college. But I went to art college and quickly realised that I wanted to do more. I wanted to be able to help people or have a STEM application and just learn more, really. So I took the creativity side of things with art college and applied it to product design and technology in UL, which is a lovely combination of, engineering and STEM and art.
So where did the idea come for your product that you brought here? Athena, is that what you call it?
Yeah, Athena. So Athena is my final year college project, and in my course they weigh heavily that you solve a problem, and it's solving a problem that from people around you, listening to input from people and taking that and applying it to a solution. So when there were discussions of what to do, it was, me and Mum had a conversation at the kitchen table, and it was, I went through this and it was really difficult, and I would really appreciate if someone were to look into it and try and help this area. May it be small, may it be big. There's a lot that could be improved. And so that was the starting point, that conversation.
Kind of helping in dealing with cancer services, in how things are admitted to you, being in hospital.
Yeah, everything.
And fighting the cancer, essentially.
Yeah, I remember how hard it was. I remember how busy an infusion day was, coming in early and coming home late and being exhausted. And so may it be even the smallest thing, like it wasn't even just Mum. I spoke to so many people that were talking about, the bag that they have to carry in, the parking is difficult, having to commute long distances to avail of this scalp cooling treatment. There were so many things that I could have hit. So it was an amalgamation of all of these points that led me to doing this project. And yeah, trying to improve the area of scalp cooling was the focus, yeah.
Yeah, because losing your hair is such a big part of chemotherapy for so many people, and a stressful and difficult part, I'm sure, like was for your family. The scalp cooling machines then that your mum availed of, there was obviously, did it work for her? Why did she feel that was something that you could maybe try and improve?
Yeah, so I saw how important that treatment was for Mum and how it really helped her going through chemotherapy to give her kind of a sense of strength and resilience going through the infusion days to be able to keep her hair. She managed to keep in and around 60% of her hair. You probably wouldn't have known. She put glasses on, we could style it, we could hide it. So she had the length, but it was thin, but she had the length, and you could tell, you couldn't tell, which was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. It was, I used to spend time with her in the infusion ward, and I saw the machine, and it's quite large. It's kind of like two Henry Hoovers stacked on top of each other.
Got a picture here now of the scalp cooling machine.
And you have to be plugged in at all times. You have to stay in the one place. You come in 30 minutes before, you stay 90 minutes after. And there were some things like operationally, the nurses have to do this on top of an already busy clinic. And with Mum, it was in UHL. She was the only one that availed of it out of 30 people. So it was, everyone was looking at her like, what are you doing? What is that? She had to ask for it because she was concerned about hair loss. So she availed of it. And I saw, if she wanted to go to the bathroom, she had to drag this machine to the bathroom with her. And so it was just, how can you make this easier? Can it be more portable? Can it be lightweight? Can it be battery powered? Yeah.
And as you said, your mother knew about it. And we have spoken here on this couch to people who have had chemotherapy, male and female, and the loss of hair and kind of how it did affect them, that very visual impact of going through cancer. And these machines, there's only a few in Ireland, those head cooling machines, and they're incredibly expensive.
Yeah, that's it. It's the cost. They're, upwards of 30 grand, but it could cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of euros to actually implement it into the hospital when it comes to the care staff that have to use it and the training and the implementation of them. So
yeah, it can be like 200,000 euro to get one working in a hospital.
Yeah, that was a quote from the Minister of Health I saw recently. So that's it's only available in eight hospitals in Ireland. So people are commuting from different counties to get this treatment and changing their healthcare staff to try and get it. So it was just, how can I create something low cost that can get into the hands of people?
So how did you do it? How did it come about? Where's the science in it? Yeah, amazing.
It was just, honestly, it was just, how can I do it as simply as possible? There's things that are portable that can cool things like, fridge freezers and vans, beer coolers, that kind of stuff. I was just kind of like trying to find how other people did it and just utilise that technology. So there's these little semiconductors called Peltier cells, and they make electrons go up and down when electricity is passed through them, which cause one side to heat and one side to cool. And that cooling element is very effective in cooling water if you were to put a tank underneath it. So it's a mini fridge freezer with a headpiece. It's trying to be as simple as possible.
We're watching all these things that you have put together in this phenomenal device here. It's hooked up to how many litres of water?
It would be around 500 continuously moving at all times.
Yeah, so it's
500
cooling it.
millilitres,
Millilitres of water. That's amazing.
To keep it lightweight.
To keep it lightweight. 500 millilitres.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with chemotherapy drugs, they're attacking the same sort of cells that attack the fast-forming cells that are attacking the hair. That's why we lose our hair.
Yeah, so the mechanism is basically minimising blood flow to an area, because chemotherapy is cycled around the whole body and it attacks the good cells and the bad cells. Specifically the fast dividing cells, as you say. Our hair follicles are one of the fastest, that's why they fall out. So it's just minimising blood flow to an area through tightening the blood vessels that carry chemotherapy to the scalp, therefore minimising the damage it has in that area. Yeah.
How much do you think this would cost to implement?
Yeah, so to try and keep it low cost and competitive, I'm hoping that it could cost in around €1,000. It's, high-end wigs that you buy when you're undergoing treatment are in around 1,000. So to keep it on the same level as that. But even at that, it could be on a rental scheme. I'd love for it to be free. I'd love for it to go to charities and for them to just give it out on a rental basis to whoever needs it, and they can bring it back and it goes on to the next person.
Athena is the name.
Yeah.
Why? Where did it come from?
It came from me working on the project and constantly saying the word resilience, the resilience of a person facing a diagnosis, the resilience of the people undergoing the treatment, because it can be quite uncomfortable. And I just wanted it to be a symbol of resilience. So I looked up people that represent resilience, and the goddess Athena came up, who's the goddess of wisdom and warfare. So she's a symbol of strength and resilience from the stories. So that I just thought aligned and sounded cool was all.
This was your final year project. Yeah. This is your final year project in college. This is unbelievable. You went on to win the National James Dyson Award.
That's it, yeah.
And now you're going forward to the international competition.
Yeah, it's been crazy. The James Dyson Award is something that we've talked about since first year in college. It's something that everyone aims to and works hard towards to potentially get to the level that you could be someone that wins this. So when we're done college, everyone's told to enter it, and you might get a shortlist, you might get a CV, and now I'm here.
I mean, it's amazing. You're going to be representing Ireland in this, which is just remarkable. I have to ask you, funding-wise, like you've had to do this pretty much on a shoestring through your own real budget, which is another real challenge.
Yeah. You figure it out as you go along.
But which is what James Dyson would have had to do as well, what all these great inventors have had to do is find a way. Then I think you got a grant of over €5,000 for winning the national championship as well. And then if you were to go and win the overall, would you get to meet him?
I guess so, yeah. I've been looking at previous winners and it seems that he might make an appearance, yeah.
You might move from Singapore to say hello. The thing is, you applied for a job with Dyson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was really funny. This is such a full circle moment. Two years ago, I applied to be an intern at Dyson as a research and development person, and I didn't get it. The dates didn't line up with college, so I was disappointed. And yeah, now I'm here, which is very funny.
Look at you now, James. Look what you missed out on.
Can't get rid of me.
We'll go shake his hand next time. Yeah.
The international event is taking place in November, which is so fantastic. But you have gone on, you have qualified, and you are working within cancer treatment now, doing something, another part that you thought you could help in.
Yeah, so I was really lucky. I obviously was researching hair loss technology and cancer care technology, and it just happened to be I'm from Limerick, and just around the corner in Galway there was a startup with a young guy who was working on a hair loss technology product as well as me. So at the start I thought, we can't cross paths, but you know, there's no hiding. I thought, you got to reach out. So when it got to a certain point, I reached out to him, showed him what I was working on, and we had a really nice conversation. He showed me what he was working on, Illuminate Medical in Galway. And yeah, from there then, when I graduated, he said, keep in contact and we might get you a job. So yeah, I'm working as a research and development intern at Illuminate now, working on more side effects of chemotherapy and hair loss products. So
what happens, Athena, then?
Amazing.
How does that get progressed?
Yeah, so all of the research, all of the insights that I've gained from the project with college, I'm now able to apply to all of the work I'm doing there. So yeah, I know the mission, I know I have insights myself. It just speeds up the process and speeds up the getting the product to market, which hopefully might happen next year.
Oh,
wow.
Next year. That would be a game changer for so many people. It's so wonderful.
Simply amazing.
Vicky, your daughter's pretty blooming incredible. My God. You don't have any younger siblings, do you?
No, two older though.
Yeah, all right, okay. Oh, God, showing them
You're
up every
putting it
second
up to
of the
them,
day.
that's for sure.
Olivia Humphreys. I can't wait until we're giving out a Humphreys Award. It has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
And
much.
great to see you encouraging more girls into STEM, and that sort of
Absolutely.
thing is what we want to see more of as well. Thank you so much. Congratulations and best of luck in the overall competition as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia. God bless her poor siblings. Now it's time to go over to the Virgin Media News. Welcome back. Now we've got Rob Cons in with us today. He's going to show us off. Now we're staying up to date with the trends. We're trying Grandpa Core is the trend today.
Now, if you're going home, if you're at home going, what? What's that? What's that? Here's a look.
Let's take a look.
So the men can wear it as well. It's
Yes,
gender
they can.
neutral.
Yes, it is. They
Love
can. It's all about kind of bringing hints of Grandpa Core to it. So sweater vests, cords, check shirts, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah,
Are they coming back?
They are a little bit, but more of a kind of a modern vibe on it. It's everywhere on TikTok at the moment. It's a trend that's not probably going to be around for a long time, but it's one you can embrace at the
But
moment.
while it's here, we're on it.
Let's do it.
We're on it.
Let's do it.
Sarah's up
Exactly.
first.
And all of our looks this morning are from West End Shopping Park in Blanchardstown. So with our first look here on Sarah, we've gone with neutrals and khakis here, which works really well. So it's all about bringing those elements. So whether that's going with like a check t-shirt, then a big chunky knitwear, or
So
a coat
what's
like
the
this,
Grandpa
it's gonna
Core
work.
here then?
So with the Grandpa Core here, it's the shape of the trousers and it's the knitwear here. So it's
Oh,
that
okay,
kind
like
of
the little
oversized
cardi that your
knitwear.
grandpa
yes,
would have.
exactly, but bringing a modern vibe. Great coat here from Pepco at €20.
Is that only €20?
Yeah, you can see it's the button detail into the middle there and then oversized pockets. I think this is a great coat as we come into winter because you can see as well, it's quite a boxy fit, so you're going to get lots of layering pieces underneath it.
This look is brilliant.
Yeah.
How are these so cheap? I'm not going to say cheap.
And then with the little cardigan underneath it, it's a really great piece. They have this in a green colour as well. If you wanted to go with this, it's buttoning over. We've tucked it in, so it is. You can see the length on the other side there. It does have a little bit of length to it.
It's a lovely little cardigan.
A little check
great
top
cardigan, and
underneath.
then going with the check top. So that's bringing the element of Grandpa Core with the check underneath it, with that top. And then we're going down, and we've brought in the cargo pants. So cargo pants are another nod to the Grandpa trend.
Absolutely.
And did you put the belt with it, or does that come with it?
No, we've put the belt with it this morning. So the jeans are available at Mountain Warehouse. Really great pair of jeans. They look great on as well. A great fit. So they are, obviously Mountain Warehouse has everything for the outdoors, but they also have these that you can mix and match in your wardrobe.
Cargo pants, they're great.
Yeah, then with the belt, we've brought in the brown tone go buckle detail to it here, which I think just kind of lifts the outfit as well, because you're able to then put the cardigan tucked in, and it's thin enough, the cardigan, that you're going to be able to tuck it in.
Yeah.
It's a great look.
It's a nice
It's a
look.
nice, oversized, fitting well. The juxtaposition of that, it's absolutely lovely. Sarah, love that look. It's
I love the way it's
gorgeous.
tucked in, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Really
giving
nice,
that
it's
nod
fantastic.
to the trend.
Okay,
Marwa.
Next up, Marwa is what is here.
Look at
So
this.
is all about the grandpa sweater vest jumper, which we're seeing lots of at the moment. We've gone with a logo to it, so really bringing it quite modern with the jumper vest there from New Look. I think this is a great look. It's a really cool look. Going with a shirt underneath it, just a simple white shirt works really well. You could go with a colour as well if you wanted to brighten up the outfit a little bit. But this
There's nothing like a really white, crisp shirt, isn't it? It's just gorgeous.
Exactly. I think it works really great with the white logo to it. But this shirt, it is a great shirt. They have it in all different colours at the moment, so if you wanted to go with a colour, you could. The top half of this is going to work with jeans. It's going to work with trousers in your wardrobe. Everything you're going to be able to bring into your casual or your dressy wardrobe. And then we've gone with the skirt here. You can see it's a pleated skirt. I think it just works really well with the tones of it. So not necessarily the skirt is in grandpa core, but the top half is. So it's bringing elements of your own wardrobe and mix and matching it. And then sticking with grandpa core, we have gone with the loafers, which are everywhere for this season, and just giving that nod to the trend with these. Again, they're going to go with a pair of jeans in your wardrobe, they're going to go with trousers or a skirt like this. And as we get a little bit more into autumn, winter, you can put tights with this look and it's going to look great.
It's lovely,
it's a lovely
absolutely
look.
gorgeous.
It's really
Thank
comfortable
you, Marwa.
as well.
Yeah, it does. It looks real
really
cozy.
just
doesn't it?
cozy, yeah.
With our next look, we've gone really
Blonde.
laid back with this look on Blonde here. So again, bringing those elements to it, the jumper over the shoulders, but really layering this piece up, and it just works really well together. So it's all about pops of colour in knitwear and that chunky
That's a lovely
knitwear.
jumper.
Yeah, it's great jumper there, just over the shoulders. So obviously you could put it on as well with the look if you wanted, but I think just wearing it over the shoulders really gives that nod to the trend.
You really have learned this, so you've a tee, you've a shirt, you've a jacket, and you've a jumper.
Yeah, bringing in all of those pieces though that are going to work with the trend, from the check shirt underneath this, so that's bringing in the green in it. The jacket then here, this is a great leather jacket, a retro leather jacket, kind of industrial zip detail to it. This is going to go great over dresses, anything in your wardrobe. It's a throw-on piece. As we get more into winter, say the first jacket we had earlier on, you could layer this leather jacket under a big coat as well.
Yes.
And shirt underneath that.
And then the shirt then from Mountain Warehouse, so it's a check shirt. They have this in all different colours. They have it in a burgundy as well, so if you wanted to swap out maybe the green jacket, the green jumper, go with a burgundy jumper, you could change the colours around to work it in. And then we've gone with a simple tee underneath it there, round neckline to it, which I think just works really well because you're making quite a statement with the check shirt.
But it's layered so beautifully. all
Yeah,
of
and
it.
they're quite light pieces as well.
And I'm
underneath
loving
it for
these
layer.
bottoms.
Give me these tracksuit bottoms.
Just get me into them now.
No.
They're cords, but they're drawstring waist. They're elasticated. They're flared. They're really comfortable, really soft piece, and they're quite a dressy piece as well to add to this look.
They're lovely.
Yeah,
lovely.
and it's just a kind
I'd
of
be in them
an
myself,
alternative to it.
See Mirror now
I
for
swear
daytime
to
look.
God.
Out she goes,
Out
out
I
the
go.
studio.
And then the high shoes.
Yes, then we're finishing off with the trainers here. They're a wedge trainer, so if you're someone who likes to wear a heel but wants something a little bit more casual, these are a great pair of trainers for you because you're still getting height with them.
That is lovely.
Yeah, really liking the
God, doesn't
grandpa
Blonde
core
looks-
now.
You'll be bet into it now, so you will.
Now, is the Mac
Here we go,
the
this is
grandpa
Sarah.
core?
So with this look, we've got a little bit more dressy with it. So we've got the Mac, which is kind of giving those grandpa vibes to it, but also the jumper underneath this here, the striped jumper, is all about grandpa core. The jacket here from Next, it's a really great jacket. You can see it's tied in there at the waist. Double-breasted, a really great Mac, and we're seeing lots of Macs at the moment. Beautiful button detail into the back of it
nice little
there.
features on it.
Yeah, really does. And you're going to be able to mix and match this with lots of different things in your wardrobe
And it is
as
the
well.
thing, it's kind of, you can't go too oversized with a Mac, really,
Yeah,
can you?
Exactly.
So, good to go.
Then underneath it, we've gone with the jumper here. So it's a striped jumper. It has that kind of grandpa style neckline to this. I think it just goes really great with these trousers as well. And we're all about
wear
bringing
that
in
jumper,
green
no problem.
detailing.
Yeah. It's a
they're
lovely
really
jumper.
great. And they've got it in lots of different colours as well at the moment in there. And then we've got the trousers here. So again, that kind of tracksuit bottom style. But these are a lot more dressy. They're flared trousers. You can see the green pipe into the side of them, just matching
Pipe
it
is
in.
lovely on
Yeah,
the side.
it just adds a really sports looks vibe to it. And then we've matched it back in the handbag here with the gold buckle detailing to it. And
Beautiful
also,
olive green, yeah.
yeah, we've
really
gone
well matched.
with those olive tones.
Put a pair of hoop earrings with this as well.
Yeah, just give it a, well, a grandpa wouldn't really wear them.
No.
But just give, but just...
Hey,
Very adventurous,
you
Grandpa.
don't know,
Now
you don't know, we don't know.
Exactly. But yeah, just a really statement hoop, 90s style earring finishing off the look.
And the shoes.
And the shoes staying in with that green tones, which are going to go great with lots of things in your wardrobe if you're going with those kind of muted tones. They're a khaki, kind of olive green, pointed toe, sling back heel.
Absolutely
And it's all from-
gorgeous.
It's all available right now at West End Shopping Park.
West End Shopping Park. And you know
Fabulous
what?
looks.
We now know what the grandpa
You do.
core is.
You do.
You learn something new on IrelandAM every
You do.
morning. You really do.
I feel
what
like
was
we
it
should
yesterday?
have. It was barn coats.
Barn coats, yes.
I feel like we should have put up a poll for all grandpas. What do you think of people taking your fashion?
Yeah.
Are you all right with it? The girls taking your fashion. Rob Condon, gorgeous
Thank
looks
you
today.
so
Thank
much.
you so much. What are we going to do next week?
Oh, we're going to, yeah.
We're going to have to find something new.
What
I
are we
don't
going
know.
to do next? A bit of
Oh,
yoga.
right, okay.
A bit of yoga.
On pain bow yoga.
No.
That's what we're doing.
We'll tell you what that's about after the break.
Talk to you in a minute.
Well, you're very welcome back. It's time now to experience the epic Irish mythological tale of Cuchulainn through yoga and traditional music.
Alan is eating chicken off a knife and behind the camera right now. Will you get ready to do some yoga? Joining us now is Director of Bacla Gaeilge, Micheál O'Neill. How are you, Micheál? It's lovely to have you here.
Good morning.
What is Bacla Gaeilge?
So it's an initiative with Dublin City Council and Conor na Gaeilge trying to make Irish more seen and heard around Dublin City. So we have a number of things and initiatives that we do to kind of increase Irish. So we have a business network where you can use your couple of focal. Some places you get discounts if you speak Irish. We run a number of events that will showcase one of them here now with the Tonbo Yoga. And we have a number of different events that we kind of advertise on our website as well. So yeah, kind of increase the amount of Irish seen and heard.
Are we seeing a growing number of businesses and people wanting to get involved in speaking Irish? Like, there's definitely seems to be the desire, a bit of a change, people wanting to go back and almost remember what they learned back in school.
Absolutely, like we're seeing such a growth with the guys, if it's from Kneecap, if it's from our very own Siobhan Rourke as well, with our own podcast as well, with like How to Gael. It's having a moment, you know, and it's kind of tapping into that Gaeilge psyche as well. Like we would have probably learned it in school, but outside of school, where the opportunities to speak it, that's where kind of after tapping in with the business network and with unique experiences with Irish, if there are events, if they're using your couple of focal every day, because that's how it will stay alive.
Because that's the sort of thing, you know, in Gallup, you know, you'd see people, you'd always hear people kind of chatting Irish around town, like not just in Spittle, but in Galway City itself. So for these events, Bacla Gaeilge, which is Baile Clia le Gaeilge, is it for sort of a tourist spectacle, or is this for people who live in the city?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a bit of both. It's to
Okay.
show that Irish is vibrant and it's part of our culture. It's not just a language that's in the classroom, it's alive and well. And we have a number of events that show that it's vibrant, it's modern, it's not just something that we kind of studied years ago and that it just stays there. We've got more and more people who are leaving Gael Colosty, Gael Scullina than ever was in the States. So it's trying to create those meaningful experiences for them to show that they can use it every day. Not just through what they would have studied, but also through sport, through music, through culture, through food, everything.
And there's over 5 million people have started learning Gaeilge on Duolingo.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's where the kind of idea for Turas Or is the idea. So it's an initiative with Dublin City Council and Bacla Gaeilge. And like you said, there are 5 million people outside of Ireland are studying Irish on Duolingo. So it's making sure they have meaningful experiences when they come to Ireland, that they can do Irish language-based tourism when they come here.
Tell us then how you've adapted it into yoga.
So Kieran will go through a great bit of detail with his lovely assistant Alan, I'm sure, later on. But the idea is that it's to link it with mythology, to link it with the story of Cú Chulainn. So obviously, we're going to go through a sequence now in a minute, but the idea is Cú Chulainn, obviously, the mythological tale of him, his father, who killed Balor of the One Eye, Cú Chulainn, and his father Lugh na Gréine. There's so many links to Irish.
Just trying to combine the mythology of and the story of Cú Chulainn through Irish, but also then bringing in the yoga element. So just kind of ticking a lot of boxes for people who are going to...
It really is. And I suppose like the part of it too is like we've got so many place names and things that are part of the story of Cú Chulainn and Lugh. Like we have Lunasa, the Festival of Lunasa, which is obviously August. We have Cundain Lugh, County Louth, the Mount Leinster named after Lugh as well. So we've a lot of links that are involved with the language and mythology, and obviously to bring it to an immersive experience with yoga is kind of showing how vibrant the language can be.
So with all of these, because I suppose we all think of the tame, you know, when we were in school, like mine was Diarmuid agus Grania, they were Ganes up a tree all the time. It felt during that. So maybe you won't be doing that through the power of yoga. But what's the story with this? So you're telling the story of Cú Chulainn with yoga poses. There's a narrator telling the story. Are people getting involved doing the yoga as they go along?
Absolutely. So that's the immersive side of it. So you'll hear the mythological tale through a narrator, through Colin McCarroll's here. Kieran will go through the yoga poses. So it's emulating the story through poses, which also tells us a story through Irish. That's where it was first told thousands of years ago. So it's linking it all together to show that it can be innovative, but it's also linking back to our past. So
come on, let's crack on. I want to see it. What do you reckon?
Ready to see it. Now, one of your yoga instructors, Kieran, he is going to give us a little taste of Taimbo yoga alongside actor Cullum and musician Aisling, and our very own Alan Hughes is also getting his warrior pose on. Good luck.
Cretar go be Lugh na Gréine ahar Cú Chulainn. Far Ildánach dahu le gruig chatach yún. It is believed that Lugh, the sun god, was the father of Cú Chulainn. The Celtic festival and month Lunasa, Cuntain Lugh, and Lugh na Cuilla, the highest mountain in Leinster, are all named in his honour. Why Lugh ri na Tuatha Danann? Din the Curshis are in Tuatha as a tribe of the gods. A supernatural race of deities usually depicted as kings, queens, bards and druids. Fi call her Lugh, Margar Eshnavarig Balor Lena Lingshat, known as Balor of the One Eye. He was leader of that demon tribe, the Fomorians, who were not only the enemies of the Tuatha Dé Danann, but were also the first settlers in Ireland. Against all odds, Lugh led a combined army of the Tuatha Dé and mortal men to victory. Derter, Gerol Dectra, Drafur and Ard Riha as Cupon Dreachtu Lugh in Rúna Bóine. Lugh and Ígshin, Rugach Lamavdi. Originally known as Setanta, through brave deeds he acquired a new name. Cú Chulainn, the great hero warrior of Irish mythology, the protector, destined for everlasting fame throughout the lands.
Well done, well done. Kieran, you pushed him a little bit too hard there now, to be fair.
Towards the end there now, it was a bit like, hello lads now. But that was brilliant. Well done. Well done. That sounded
gorgeous.
great.
That was so lovely.
It actually sounded great.
Where can we get tickets? People can go and see this in Bewley's in
Bewley's. So
Bewley's in
there's
Dublin.
one on today that is sold out, but there's another one on Saturday at 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
So much.
I loved it. Thanks for making him do that to the leg, Kieran. That was amazing.
Love the
Colin
music,
Aisling.
Aisling as well. Thank you so much.
We all thank you so much.
Thanks
The voice was just beautiful.
Well done.
Now coming up on tomorrow's IrelandAM, it's a little bar movie maestro Brian Lloyd will review the latest and greatest releases.
Cork comedian Andrew Ryan is going to be here talking about his new tour.
And we have lots of sports stars, including Gordon Darcy. We'll see you tomorrow for IrelandAM.
There you have it. See you tomorrow.
Bye.